Welcome to dojo.live, the place where top minds in travel and hospitality check in to share insights and breakthroughs shaping the industry. Brought to you by Encora, your trusted partner for AI, cloud, and data-driven innovation. Enjoy your stay.
Hello, everyone. HITEC 2025 in Indianapolis. Thank you for being on Dojo Live with us. I am Kim Lantis, your host, joined by Mark Lewis Brown, as well as Estella Hale of Zucchetti North America. Thank you guys for joining us today on the show.
My pleasure. Nice to see you again.
Perfect. Estella's going to take mic control. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. So, thank you so much for joining us. First things first, for those who may not know you all, I've got the pleasure of knowing Mark very well, but share a little bit about yourself as well as kind of your journey in hospitality, your role at Zucchetti North America, just briefly for those who might not know you.
Sure. So I've been in the hospitality world for about 30 years, started with some little hotels that I owned, started a software company called Endpoints Worldwide, and merged it with another competitor, ended up with Vertical Booking, brought that to the United States from Italy. Vertical Booking was bought by Zucchetti, and we've turned that into what you see here. So lots of different products, and Zucchetti's worldwide company, and great to work with. Italy's always fun. Italians are always fun. So, and then Estella has recently joined us and helping us to bring our products.
Perfect. Estella, a little bit about you, please.
Oh, thank you. I have been in technology and hospitality for many years, very much focused on the distribution side. So it was perfect to get to join Mark, who I've known and respected for many, many years, and to see that a lot of the things have evolved and changed, but some of the challenges that we're still facing remain the same. So how do we bring that to fruition again today? So I'm very excited to have joined.
All right, thank you. And you did a great job of doing my segue for me, because I wanted to start off with the basics. Revenue management having been around for decades now, I believe, not more, I don't know. But the landscape, like you say, Estella, is evolving. So I'm curious about the shifts you're seeing in hotels, the market in general, how they're approaching revenue strategy today, and how is automation starting to change that?
Sure. So let's start looking or speaking of it from a revenue management as a whole. Some of the things that we are seeing changing quite a bit is how revenue management, the practice is happening at hotels. Where it used to be hotel-centric, where they would even have someone at the hotel, that is evolving to become more of a cluster-based, where one person can manage multiple properties, and the availability of data, the availability of systems is what it has empowered that. But I think a lot of the trigger for that was when we all started to be remote. And so it was the discovery that we must still operate and we don't have to be on property. Then you enable that with the advent of newer technology that allows not just single hotel management, but multiple hotel management. It gave to a rise to that understanding of by cluster, by region, etc.
Right.
So it is why automation, technology consolidation now allows a revenue manager to create a strategy for a region or a group of properties.
Right. Anything to add to that?
Well, and the flexibility of systems now allows revenue managers to do specific things on certain days and to be really flexible with what they're doing, where it used to be a lot of hard-coded stuff, things that change. You have to set it, let it go. Nowadays, you can stop it on the weekends or do it on the weekends, do it on certain days. There's a lot of flexibility.
Perfect. And I think that's a great segue into one of the products that you're kind of announcing the launch of here at HITEC. This would be Lybra Assistant. One of the things when I read about it that really stood out for me was its ability to forecast demand based off of flight search data. So I'm curious just if you could expand on why this is important, to go beyond, I guess, the traditional in terms of historical competitor market data, the historic, what has happened versus what's going to be happening. How can that kind of forward-looking insight really start to reshape hotel decision making?
Yeah, sure. Well, first, let me confirm and clarify that while we also look at unconstrained demand and forward-looking data, we absolutely still take into consideration historical pace, pickup, all of the information for as many years as the hotel wants to bring in the system. That is still very much a very important part of what the algorithm has to consider. But in addition to that, bringing elements that are available today now that could not possibly be managed manually is how we're bringing this newer generation of RMS. So, for example, we have an agreement with Skyscanner, and we can see at the traffic that is coming into a city where our clients are and take that into consideration for the algorithm. That allows us to put weightage to that unconstrained and unconsumed demand, because these are not even purchases yet. This is intent to purchase. So it's an additional layer of what is coming that can allow the forecast to take into consideration additional elements.
Right.
And in certain markets, you can imagine where, if you're in a market where the Canadian inbound traffic is heavy, and you can tell now, like we've just heard, 20 to 30% less demand for air traffic, it's going to affect your occupancy.
Yeah.
Right? It has to. So it gives you that ability to understand and look at, make better decisions. If you're on island is completely based usually on air demand, right? Mm-hmm. So there's lots of, airlines really do control a lot of the demand, and you can see a lot happening by how people buy tickets.
Right.
And it also takes into consideration, like you can enter your comp set, you can enter many events, you can enter many other areas as well that are traditionally used for forecasting and demand. But that is something that we feel that it gives that unconstrained aspect of it.
Great. And I think it's a really fun area. I always get there's so many different AIs right now, and I believe it's the agentic that is able to kind of do the decision making, or at least tell you, if you change this, then this is what's going to happen. Right. And so I think that's a really fun area where you'll be able to maybe apply those technologies as well to see an island. Oh, you know what? Now we have all those flights, but a hurricane's coming. So now what? Right. Or the concert got canceled, right. or
the airline just dropped 2 routes, and now there's 300 less seats in it. Things like that. So
I love it. Let's kind of circle back to automation, distribution, also something that you all are very good at. What kinds of data should be automatically, right, updated across all online channels, and what does that kind of smart distribution look like today in tandem with so many different options? You've got, the OTAs, the meta search, GDS, direct booking, best booking. How can hotels kind of strike that right balance between reach and also control?
Our perspective on it, our vision on it, or how we're bringing that distribution is that we use channels to connect hotels to their guests. For many, many years, channel managers were connecting hotels to channels. We connect hotels to their guests. The channels are a means to an end. It's not the end. And of course, I agree. Direct booking, it is a very preferred channel, somewhere where hotels must pay attention to. But also there are other types of guests, and hotels have an entire segment that they have to cover, from transient to corporate, etc. So having the ability to have that distribution that allows the breadth of channels that is needed to cover all of their segments with seamless, same availability, real time across all of the channels, but allowing them to have the strategy of saying, how do I connect to my guests, and how do I choose to attract and retain my guests? So it is a means to an end, but not the end.
Right.
And it's more control over the channels. You can shut off certain channels and take higher revenue channels. A lot of the channels, like Estella said, they're using web services, so they're getting direct information right out of our system. There's no sending data to them to make sure it's updated. With our system, it's what they're going to see. The guest is going to see on the other side.
Right. Before we kind of shift to the more AI forward-looking conversation, anything else that you would like to kind of shine some light on right now in terms of what you're talking about and excited about here at the event?
I think just to shine that our core and our strength for many, many years has been distribution, and it still is. It is the fact that we see technology as a great enabler to bring those booking decisions and those pricing decisions together. The fact that we can help with the strategy on the pricing and that we empower the guest booking engine itself, that is a core mission that we're bringing, because we're able to bring those pricing decisions where the guest is making the booking decision.
I love it. I love it. Talking about the power of technology, let's zoom out and just touch a little bit on AI, the machine learning, how that's enhancing revenue performance without replacing the revenue manager, because I think there's this confusion or this kind of fear of what's going to happen. So what would you say is the ideal balance between the automation as well as still the human decision making component?
More than a balance, is an approach for adoption. Our revenue management teams are receiving mandates to do more with automation, that teams have to stay small, more properties have to be managed. So it is the understanding of what can I automate to give me the bandwidth to look at how to then adopt further automation. For example, if someone is still using Excel and pivot tables to create their weekly or monthly reports, to come up with the KPIs for the group or the GM, start with adopting the business intelligence and analytics side of a system, for example. If you are still manually deciding if you should take a group or not, or how to respond to an RFP bid, adopt the group displacement module. And as the property start adopting some of these modules or features or solutions that gives them more time, then they can look at, okay, what about the deeper automation, the deeper machine learning and AI recommendations such as price. But they have to have that free time to then make the decisions of where do they apply the autopilot, where do they apply the human intelligence. So it's all a matter of taking steps until they can get to full automation. They can't jump those steps.
And having a system that can do that, like Libra's all modules, you can choose little pieces, start small, grow on the scary parts, where you let it make all the decisions.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think it's very user focused and operationally focused, right? Looking at who is using it. Talking about this, wrapping up today, looking ahead, curious as to what kind of one trend or technology you guys think that hoteliers aren't paying enough attention to yet, but really should be. And if in that sense, what's one simple action that they should be taking over the next, let's say, year or so to kind of boost their profitability and other things?
I mean, it is something that it is coming up a lot, but it is not fully fleshed out yet, which will be the agentic AI. So how will hotels go all the way to checking how agentic will be representing them, establishing what technologies will be available for them to, again, it's the same fight that OTAs will be there first, but it's also a great equalizer. That's on in particular to a technology to look after. But overall, what is exciting in the future in hospitality is that technology is a great equalizer. So when these new solutions comes up, these opportunities for automation or learning or bringing additional information, it brings everyone to the same level. Whether you are a new entrant and grew up with technology or whether you have a lot of experience, it's new to both. So the ability to embrace change, to learn from each other, and to be open to adopting new things, it's a great equalizer for motivating new people to enter into our field.
Right. And it's just like Lybra. It's priced so that anybody can use it. The little hotels always tend to think that they're not capable of a lot of this. They are now, right? So it's it doesn't matter if you have 50 rooms. Pretend, you should act like 100, 500. Use all the products that are out there.
Lybra, the equalizer.
Right.
I love it. I love it. Always a pleasure, Mark. Pleasure to be meeting you and speaking with you, Estella. If someone wants to learn more about Zucchetti North America, Lybra in particular, or anything else you got going on, because here we've got POS, PMS, CRS, the booking engine component, of course. What's the best way to get a hold of either one of you and learn more about what you're doing?
ZucchettiNorthAmerica.com. Has all the information you need and our contacts. Maybe simplest way to do it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, valuable time at such an important event like HITEC. Thank you all for joining us. And until then, bye.
Bye-bye.